Day folks, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be on repeater tips and etiquette. Stick around. So guys, this is just a quick brush up on repeater etiquette and tips for those of us who've been around a long time like myself, and I'm as guilty as anyone on some of these issues. And for new hams who are maybe a little mic shy and not exactly sure what to do to get on the air. And you'll excuse me if I'm looking down. I have a list of notes I have made right here on a sheet, and I will be reading off of that. And so I may not be able to watch the camera like I should. So anyway, the first one is we want to avoid bad habits, and we want to get new hams off on the right foot. So on a repeater, we don't use CQ. And CQ is an HF thing that they use, and it originally came from Morse code, so that the Morse operator wouldn't have to tap out so many letters. They just used the two letters CQ. So if you're on a repeater frequency and you're listening, there's nothing there, all you have to do is just give it your call sign. So mine would be VE6GCM, and I usually say monitoring, or you can also say listening. And then people know that you're there. If there's someone there, they can get back to you and have a chat or whatever. Now, if you're looking for a radio check, you can say that too. VE6GCM, looking for a radio check. Anybody around listening? So that's the first thing. If you're looking for someone specific, use their call sign first. So in my case here, it would be if I'm looking for my friend Al, I could say VE6RFM. This is VE6GCM. Are you around, Al? Or you can just give the two call signs, VE6RFM, VE6GCM. And he'll know that I'm looking for him. If he's listening, he will get back to me. So that's the second thing. The third thing, a good operating practice, which in busier centers, is to move off the repeater to a simplex frequency once you get a hold of the person you're looking for. That is the case in a lot of places. Here we don't do that. We encourage people to talk on our repeater, and because that's what most people are monitoring anyway. And we want people to use our repeater and chat on it. And you know, like I say, in big centers where there's a lot of hams and lots of traffic, you might want to move off the repeater frequency when you get someone, and just go to a simplex frequency if you can still make the contact. The next thing, during conversations, leave space or take a pause between you and whoever you're talking to let someone else get in. Someone else may need the repeater for something, or they may just want to join your conversation. So it's probably a good thing to do. My rule of thumb is when I'm talking to someone and they finish when they unkey, I let the repeater tail drop off. So that means I let the repeater's dead carrier just stop. What that does, it'll reset the timer on the repeater, and it also gives someone a chance to jump in there if they need to. There's another thing that I like to do, which I should do that I don't do often enough, is when I'm finishing up my side of the conversation there and going back to the other party, sometimes I should say, or I should say more often, is let's take a quick pause to see if there's anybody else on frequency who'd like to get in or needs something. And that's a very courteous and good thing to do. One more thing is, some guys like to use break to get in between conversations, and it's not really the proper way to do it. Break should only be used as if you need to get in for an emergency, for emergency traffic or something of that sort. So if you're in the middle, if someone's having two people are in a conversation, you want to get in on it. If they don't stop and give a pause to let you in, and you try to squeeze in between, give your call sign. Just call it your call sign, and someone will hear you. even if you double up, someone may not hear you, but the person on the other end will say, oh, someone doubled, let's just take a quick second and see who that is. We've become accustomed to using break because it's just a quick word, break, rather than VE6GCM. Like it's a little less cumbersome to say, and you get it in quick, and you can unkey and unkey pretty fast. Not necessarily the correct thing to do. So that's another reason why I let the tail drop off on the repeater, so that it, people get a chance to jump in for a few. It gives you 2 or 3 seconds there. Or whatever the tail may be, half a second, but you can still get that chance to key up before anybody else does, and get your call sign in there. Another thing, IDing. So if you're having a good chat on the repeater, and we're supposed to ID ourselves, my rule of thumb for IDing is sometimes when we unkey, the repeater will ID itself either with a Morse code or with its voice, and I will ID when I come back after that. That's a really good rule of thumb. It's just ID when the repeater IDs, and you should be fine with that. As well, when you're IDing, make sure you use the standard phonetics if you're going to use phonetic alphabet. Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta. Don't use Alice, Bob, whatever. Use the proper phonetic alphabet. Everybody should be accustomed to that, and you do hear guys on a repeater, shouldn't be a big issue. You do hear guys on HF who are having trouble making a contact. They'll use a different one just to get, because the conditions are not great and the other person can barely hear them. So for my case, it would be VE6GCM, which would be Victor Echo 6 Golf Charlie Mike, is the correct way. I have used, when they said, oh, I can't get the last letter, what's the last letter? I'll use Mexico, Mexico, Mexico. Just say it 3 times, and then they say, okay, we got it. So a little different phonetic for that is okay, but generally we should be using the proper phonetic alphabet. And the last thing is, please don't kerchunk repeaters. It's not good. Just get on and give your call sign. If you're testing your radio, say VE6GCM testing. People will leave you alone. They might come back and say, okay, you sound great, or whatever. So anyway, that's just my take on these things. And again, thank you for watching, and I hope you guys will like and subscribe. 7-3 from VE6GCM.